On behalf of DC Boxing Legends, we send our condolences to the family of Rick Bolding. Rick Bolding was the former president of Potomac Valley Association. We will now do a 10-count salute.
DC Boxing Legend Podcast. 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 Home of the champion.
Welcome to DC Boxing Legends, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have a special guest. We have coming in the great Don Hollingsworth. How you doing, Don?
I'm doing good. I want to get this out of the way and say this. I'm honored to even be here. Like, I remember when you guys were amateurs. It was you, your brothers. It was Mr. Rashid, Uncle Nesto, and y'all were all like my uncles. I was just my little guy at Hillcrest, swinging my legs, sitting on the chair watching y'all, soaking it all in. And to now be where I'm at now, to where, a little bit out of my dad's shadow, to where I could be on these platforms and speak. I'm honored to even be here with the guys that I look at, the guys that I look up to, that I've always looked up to, that I tell people, y'all just don't know these different names were treacherous. Like, these are those guys. So I'm still kind of trying to wake up from La La Land, and I'm here right now.
Oh, awesome. Hey, man, look, we look up to you now, because the tides always change, and it's good to see athletes such as yourself, even if you don't progress within the sport, even outside of sport as fans, we love to see that energy that you bring to the sport as a whole. This is all a part of the culture, and I think a lot of people don't understand that. How say you, Rashid?
Hey, man, it's an honor to have you on here, man. I definitely been watching you on the social media platform, and you giving your brilliant analysis of the sport, man, like no other. And it's an honor, man. I remember when I first walked in the gym, seeing your father in the ring sparring guys like Eugene Speed and guys like Daryl Coley, Daryl Lattimore. And so, it's like we just recycling the talent, what I'm saying, back,
Yes,
so
sir.
It's an honor, man, to have you here, and we look forward to this. This episode here, man, we're going to get a lot of knowledge and a lot of analogy on this sport, man, a lot of analyst information that's needed for this sport, man. And I appreciate to have you on here, man.
Well, just before we get started, I gotta, just like I replied to Uncle Bud, I want to reply to you, Uncle Rashid. It's kind of like, I'm a product of y'all, period. All the compliments y'all give me, you forget I'm a product of you guys. I still remember walking, me and Mr. She was talking about this, saying, I remember when that pavement wasn't there in that parking lot at Hillcrest. I remember walking through the double doors and hearing the chains, seeing Mr. Lattimore doing all those tricks on the road, seeing Uncle Nesto with those tall those black high leather boxing boots, seeing all you guys and watching the fundamentals, watching certain aspects on why not to do it to look pretty, but doing it for a reason, and how good it looked, and you, the Heyman brothers, Macy brothers, Ernesto Rodriguez, Ty Barnett, Granddad Tom Browner. I mean, these are guys, Daryl Too Sweet Coley, James Baker. I mean, this, and I'm sorry if I forget any names. I'm the product of you guys. I've always was y'all little guy, and I'm always gonna be y'all little guy forever, because you guys are, when I talk that knowledge that I'm getting patted on the back for, I'm part of the Hillcrest bloodline, and I'll forever be that. And that's where I learned from.
No doubt, man. That's dope, man. Hey, man, you better bring me the tears, man. We trying to get this interview going, man.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead. And you got me feeling dated now. Tell us a little bit about yourself, man.
Well, my name is Don Hollingsworth II. My father is Don Hollingsworth Sr. His nickname was Hard Work. My uncles were top amateurs. My dad was a top amateur going through to say he was about to make the 80 Olympic team before the boycott. He was he was one of the top guys to go for the 80 Olympic team. Wound up going, took a break from boxing, went back into it, and just to see what he had left, and wound up making a real decent name for himself. Going into Hillcrest, growing up in there, you know, I wasn't able to fight the way I wanted to because I was born with sickle cell for one, so I had a lot of surgeries. I was in the hospital a lot, but I was still growing up in the gym, having guys like Dusty Hernandez Harrison, having a young Swift Jared Hurd, having guys like Justin Hurd, Blaze Fittler, Hernandez. So many guys say, "Hey, I want to work with you." And I'm like, "For what?" And they're like, no, for real. I need you. Can you give me some work? Like, I don't know how much I got in me, but I could try. And he said, "Nah, I need that. I need those angles. I need this stuff." Once again, back to different things that I saw and learned way back before that place burned down, all the way to after it burned down at the old Ghost Gym. The stuff that I learned, I'm just implementing the same things with my own little stuff onto it. Boxing is the same old piece of chicken, just different flavor when you look at fighters. And I'm just taking all this stuff from there and being able to move around with guys that were top amateurs. You know, to have Alan Russell say, "Yeah, I want you to do defense with me," and I'm working with him. You know, all these guys that are top amateurs, medalists, international medalists, or top 15 contenders or world champions say, "Yeah, I need you in the sparring rotation." You know, that's where I wound up making my bones at. You know, my name started to go to California and England and New York. And so right there where it was like, yeah, this, you know, I'm able to sit at certain tables that I never thought I'd be able to sit at because I wasn't in tournaments, and be able to say, yeah, this guy could fight, or a funny story when he sparred such and such and did well, you know. So that's just, you know, that's all. I just want to once again doing all the stuff I learned from way back when, that Hillcrest bloodline, the fundamentals, rhythm, distance, and timing, and then just added on to that.
Now you've always been a student of the sport, man. What's your take on the state of boxing today?
I wish it could go. I wasn't alive for this, but to watch the old tapes of how the 80s and 90s were. For the little while that I was, you know, for the 90s, where I wish boxing could go back to that heyday where, you know, how can I put it? It wasn't all flash. It wasn't just sizzle. There was a stake there. There was substance. There were guys that were killers, but were household names. You know, boxing was a top priority sport. Boxing isn't a top priority sport anymore unless you go to England. In England, you could walk down the street and have a conversation with anybody about boxing, about at least the fundamentals of it. And in England, they care about their fighters. Like Canada, I've heard stories in Canada. I've had amateur fighters that I know who said, "Man, the best I ever got treated was going overseas, and I was fighting their country, you know, their countrymen." And you know, I've heard stories of fighters over there, Lou. You still have it a little bit in America, like for instance, Johnny Tappy. People used to knock on his door, bring him food, stuff like that. But those neighborhood champions, where every fighter was, you know, was really wasn't just, yeah, that's my man, I know he could fight. It was we took the punches, we care about. That's not there anymore. Like boxing, I could sum it up with this. When's the last time, besides fights in England, when is the last time you've seen in America a fight fill up a football arena?
It's been a while.
What, Hopkins in 93 at RFK Stadium? Where Hopkins won?
I went to the Peterson. What was it? The Peterson. What was my guy? What was his name? You know what I'm talking about.
Amir Khan or Lippin? Yeah.
Amir Khan. Yeah, man, that was electric, man.
Yes, that was electric. That night, oh my God.
Yeah. That's gonna go down. That's gonna go down in history as one of my favorite fights, and probably one of the first time I've ever sat in VIP, and I'll never do that again. It's expensive, but it was fun. It was fun. It was great seeing everybody out there, lots of familiar faces. But he gave us a show, one for the ages. So I can relate.
We know that about Mr. Lamont. I don't want to, I mean, basically the fans, like when you go to England, they filling up the O2 Arena, they filling up Manchester, they filling up these soccer stadiums that are 80,000 to 100,000. Like you sometimes see that at Dallas Cowboy Stadium, with some fights, but you don't see that. Now, that used to be a normal thing before the casino fights. Now you see it's a big deal if they fill up 1,300 or 7,000 or 13,000. That's kind of a big deal.
Because you do have a point, man. Because when Kambosos was standing out the ring talking to Devin Haney, that's what he threw at him. He said, "You ain't gonna be able to handle these. He said, how you gonna handle 100,000 people in the soccer field?" He's like, I'm not. Devin Haney did say, "I'm not worried about the people. They not fighting for you." But he used that as leverage. The fact that over in because he's from Australia. Over in Australia, he's telling you that how I'm going to. You think this crowd was rowdy? Wait till you come and deal with these 100,000. It didn't faze Haney, but he definitely understood the power of the fact that the fan base is just that much electrifying in other countries, and that was definitely a good point you made, man. As far as the energy that the Americans bring to the sport, because it's so many different competition sports out here now. You got the MMA, football, They have all those things too. They have soccer. That's really the biggest sport is football. The other football, the soccer, so. But for us, we have so many different sports that we can run to: basketball, football, baseball. So that is the difference between America and other countries. But boxing definitely it's probably one of the oldest sports. You know what I'm saying? And it's here. It's not going nowhere. And I do appreciate the youngins. You know what I'm saying? Especially the 135 weight class. You know what I'm saying? That's what I wanted to get into that discussion about that 135. I think that weight class, if they fight each other, has the potential of being one of the greatest weight classes that have existed. That's just my opinion.
I agree.
Nah.
I think if the promoters get out the way, it has the potential. If they fight,
too many guys that want to look cute. I'm sorry. You got too many guys that want to. Anytime you tell another guy, my father would have popped me upside my head so hard if I would have, even right now, he would have. Man, I don't care about your skill set. I got more Instagram followers than you.
Yeah, that's
I'm sorry. Yes, I get what you're saying, Uncle Rashid, like about the skill sets. Some of these guys, their skill level and everything. But it's too much. Put it to you like this, and I'm gonna throw it at y'all. I'm gonna throw it at y'all from the men that I grew up around. You guys were men's men. Fighters. I remember when different people asked me how did it feel growing up in that gym with so much stuff going on. I said, now looking back on, me and Dusty was talking about, I said, man, we were spoiled. Now, like, I could go to Ty Barnett at 15 years old. This is a 15-year-old Ty Barnett. Hey, why do you do such? I could go to Daryl Coy while getting ready for Oscar though. Hey, why you do such and such and such? These were guys spawn. I didn't even know y'all were dealing with injuries, aches and pains. Like, cause every time y'all stepped in it was like normal, like clockwork when I watched y'all. You guys were, and where am I getting with that? I'm getting at it with this. You guys were raised that if I do everything right, if I just keep living the way I'm supposed to live, train the way I'm supposed to train, box the way I'm supposed to box, money gonna come. Yeah. The money's gonna come. These days, and I ain't mentioning no names, but I've been in jeans, or one of my first jobs was being jeans file clerk. I done seen fighters coming in. Yeah, can I get I just need to get the 7-0. Can you put me up there? I saw Gene tell all of them. I know some of y'all in here done had over 100 amateur fights, 200 amateur fights, but it's still the pros. So I'm the first couple fights gonna be ducks, but then after that, I'm still putting you in there to win. But it's gonna be a guy, little by little, that's gonna keep you sharper, so that way when you get under the lights, you guys won't freeze when you get to when you pass this level. And one guy went to 2-0. The third guy that he put him in there with actually was giving him some go. The trainer and the fighter were upset with Gene, like, how y'all put him in there with this guy, such and such and such, and it was an evenly matched thing. It's a different type of mental makeup these days, where my generation is only a finger full of guys that really about that. Like, I can't figure no other way to split it, but really about that action where, if I'm not worried about, how everybody do what I'm supposed to do, the money gonna come. Ain't that many guys going. Now it's some guys, like you was talking about the promoters earlier, off the record when we was talking about the promoters, yeah, you got some fighters that hide behind the promoter. It's the promoter issues, but really it's them. And then you got some guys who is in reverse, where it's the fighter who wants to fight, but the promoter worried about him losing bad, so he don't want nothing. So he's blocking the fighter from making the fight. Sometimes I've seen it go both ways. So just the way how some of these guys are, like the talent is there, but the they talk, some of them talk a good game, but it's not. Some of them some of them do want it, but sometimes some of them is a bunch of bull.
Yeah, but I'm gonna name a few names. Shakur Stevenson,
a dog. People gotta stay away from him.
Okay, Javante Tank Davis.
Could it definitely from the old school mentality.
Who else? Rasheem Warren, yeah.
Nuke, well, Nuke has already accomplished a lot. They can, especially lately, because they counted him out, and then he came back and won big, and so, yeah. When Nuke is on one, man, Nuke is very difficult to handle. When he's 100% on one, blinders on, yeah, that Nuke is dangerous.
Gary Antonio Russell.
Oh yeah. Pitbull on the leash. Cause he keeps progressing. More and more. Like you saw something that you want to see out of a young pro with his last fight, because he faced adversity. The guy really wasn't trying to go nowhere. Kept trying to throw him around, rough him up, use his knee against him, and then and Antonio's aches and pains against him. Antonio slow, was able to change up the pace a little bit. Try to make the guy change, make this guy fall into certain hooks, go back to changing speed on the stick a little bit, up and down on it, change, make him walk this way, put him in certain positions where he was able to coast around, get his second win, then close the show. You want to see that, because sometimes it ain't gonna always go your way early to get the guy under. A guy not gonna get under control so easily sometimes.
Devin Haney.
Yeah.
No. I hate to say it, and this is the reason why I love his fundamentals. God, I love that boy fundamentals. But this is my thing. I know some of the people who trained with him, who've been around him, and one of them, and I can say her name because she said it, but she's an undefeated pro right now. She just won a woman's title, like basically putting her in position to where sooner or later she's about to be fighting for worlds. Her name's Serena McCoy, and she was like, "Nah, I really don't talk to Devin like that no more. Now Devin's done act different, now that he done made it with more of a name." And when we were talking about it, and it wasn't just her, it was other people. It was like, he can bang out guys in the gym that aren't supposed to be in the ring with him. He gonna take advantage of them and try to knock them out and all that other stuff. But when he's in there, whether it's sparring or in a fight, all of a sudden he on his bicycle. All of a sudden he not really trying to dig like that. I mean, even with the fight on Saturday, even with JoJo, when he finally had JoJo under control, JoJo still was throwing that left hand and it was landing flush. But that wasn't the problem. JoJo was starting to have trouble keeping up with his feet, and Devin Haney don't got the fastest feet, but he has a smooth way he moves around the ring. But when you can see JoJo trying to get that window and trying to get under control, and yet he wasn't trying to push JoJo back. He really he wasn't doing the stuff that you see him do in his highlight clips he makes, or the smack, throwing guys, on the ground, roughing guys up. He wasn't doing that. But it's always him and his dad will make it like, man, he be doing this to this guy, doing this to that guy, and man, I betted this. Now all I say is I walked out with the money, man. Such as when he sparred Tango, this, that, and the third. And I'm like, yeah, but when he has those situations in front, not saying he's supposed to walk in there stupid, get caught with something stupid, but when he has that opportunity to walk a guy down, he don't do it. None of that stuff that you see on those sparring videos or early in school, you don't do that.
You know who I like? Have you seen Jordan White?
Yes, sir. Grew up in the gym with him, trained with him.
Jordan Dog.
Yeah, he a beast, man. He a beast.
He gonna sleep. He gonna be a sleeper.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, we was able to go see him. We was able to go see him at the Merlin Live, and he was a headliner, the main event, and he was impressive.
We made his outfit.
Oh, y'all did? Oh, wow. Yeah, he was impressive, man. I like the way he fight. And he has a following, man. Yeah. Nice following.
So when you say you made his outfit, tell us a little bit about your business.
So my uncle D, he started it around about 7 or 8 years ago, and he started doing the shirts and the hoodies, and then he started doing Dusty's outfit, started doing Jaleel Hackett's outfits and stuff like that, and it just started to get bigger and bigger. We had the honor of doing Deontay Wilder's tracksuits for his last fight, so it just got bigger and bigger, and it's just slowly just keep doing, stay with the grind, stay the course, everything else will pay off.
Right. So what's the name of the designer?
Oh, his name is my Uncle D's name is Demetrius. Demetrius' name, and basically he's designed it. Also Joshua was always designed it as well, and it's located in St. Charles Mall. Right.
What's the name of the brand?
Art & Co.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
The reason I asked, because I was like, I got a shirt from there, man. I liked it, man. It was nice quality.
We appreciate it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I walked in there and I saw a picture of you, and I'm like, what the hell? I know him. I know this guy. I said, that's my man right there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they were like, oh, you know, Don. And I was like, yeah, of course. Way back, man.
Since I was too high, since I was a little boy. They don't know, like, man, this go back a long ways. That Hillcrest bloodline goes back a long ways.
So
No.
when the smoke clears, who would be the last man standing?
Shakur Stevenson.
I agree. Who you think?
I can't argue that. I can't argue that, man. He left handed.
Man.
Yeah.
You know me, I'm biased, man. If he left handed, he gonna be standing.
Ray rocking with him, man.
I mean, and you know, I remember when Jordan was 11 years old and I'm 19, we're in the gym together and, you know, training together. I think I'm 17. We're in the gym training together. And it was me, him, Quick, Sugar Wayne, Dwayne Holmes, all of us in the gym together. And I'm really happy the way he's bounced back from his only loss. He's done become a way better fighter since that loss. And the guy he lost to, it's no joke. Blue Nose is a bad boy. Like, Blue Nose went on to give Oscar Valdez trouble, give so many list of guys. If you go to his box rack, he then gave so many list of guys some blues, like a lot of trouble. So for Jordan to bounce back the way he has, and now he's becoming more and more of a complete pro. And it's like, I remember I talked to him about it, and I said, man, since you fought Adam Lopez, man, you done become a better fighter. And he said, man, thank you, man. Like, I mean, let's just so people know about this, is people they get so wrapped up in the O these days, where I remember watching old black and white days where some guys had losses. They first like the Marquez brothers lost their first fight. Johnny Tapia draw his first fight. You know, so many guys that become great fighters. Yeah, like, you know, that done had, whether it's the amateurs or the pros, they lose their first fight, and some of them don't recover. Some of them get gunshot, but Jordan got so much better not only as a fighter, but as a professional. And the guy that he lost to, let's go to when he beat Jordan. When he beat Jordan, he was 6-0, I want to say. Jordan was 4-0.
Okay.
After that, he fought Paul Romero, who was 7-0. Adam Lopez did, Blue Nose did. He beat another undefeated guy. Then he fought Scooter. Scooter beat him by majority decision. Scooter was 11-0. Then he wound up getting back on the win streak, fought another undefeated guy, and then fought a guy 6-2. Then he fought about 3 or 4 more fights. Then he fights for the NABF belt and fights John Rivera. If I remember right, that's John Carlos Rivera. I think he was like 15-1, if I remember right. I think he was 15-1. That was I remember I watched it that was for the contender belt, you know, the NABF belt. Won that, then he fights Oscar Valdez. Dropped Oscar Valdez. Get Oscar Valdez all he wanted. Oscar Valdez used his experience to wind up coming back and stopping him. He gets back on the horse, wins the NABF belt again. Then he fights Isaac Dogbay. He fights Jason Sanchez, beats Jason Sanchez, and fights Isaac Dogbay to a majority decision. So this is a guy now whose record is 15 wins and 3 losses. But those 3 losses were not bad losses. So to think where Jordan came was like, okay, so you know what type of stock you dealing with Jordan, especially with how he's done turned the corner. Like, all right, he's definitely gonna be, he's gonna get his opportunity, he's gonna shine. Like, he took the B-side fight and beat the guy on Showtime when he wasn't supposed to win, and now he's buying his time, just making sure he stays sharp and stay ready, because you know that call could come at any time. And you know, so and that's another thing with being a better pro. So I'm proud of him, regardless of what happens.
Yeah,
That's
no
the
doubt.
beauty. That's the beauty of boxing, man. It's sometimes it's a classroom, man. That's the ring is nothing but a classroom, and so, you know, for him to learn from those mistakes, man, I commend him. A lot of people fold up and give up, and he kept going. So, man, explain your boxing analysis show that you have when you I think you'd be at the shop. At the
I be at the store sometimes.
Yeah, man. Explain that. What made you come up with that concept, man? And you know what I'm saying, doing that.
2 guys who wanted some decorated amateurs forced me to do it. They first, Gene and Ross, a lot of different guys said, man, you gotta make an Instagram, man. No, they didn't want to do it. Time go by, and Alantez Fox was another one. It was David Flat Sparks, Shemuel Pygon, one really close to. I got a lot of props from Zab Judah, but they was like, man, you gotta talk more. And I'm like, about what? And he's like, man, seriously, just like do one of the IG lives or something and talk boxing. I said, what am I saying different than what we discussing? He said, no. Like they really, this was over a year-long thing of them pushing me to just talk boxing and just record it. And then as I started to do it, it started to just get more and more play, and I would go to the gym and there'll be a new kid coming in the gym. I remember this kid named Johnny who trains at Dusty Gym. Johnny comes to me and I didn't know who he was. He just said, oh, I know you. You're that good fighter that be on Instagram. That you was on my For You page and you was on my Explore page. You're from here? Oh man, such and such. And then Dusty told him like, oh yeah, sparred a lot of guys, and he was supposed to fight in this tournament and that tournament, but he got sick and da da da. They started telling him, and it just got bigger and bigger, and some of the stuff that I was saying that I don't think is a big deal was a big deal to other people. Like when I was saying, y'all don't understand how difficult it is to box going backwards. It's way more exhausting. It's way easier to be dog tired and walk a guy down.
Right.
It's like doing road work almost. Like I'm just going, I can catch him. I'm gonna just keep walking this guy down. But it's way more exhausting to be trying to go backwards and stay away from that, because you run the numbers and turn them, and next thing you know, especially if it's a small ring, now this guy back on you again. And it's like, and it gets psychologically, you start to get anxiety, you get mentally fatigued. Now it's affecting your physical fatigue. And Zab Judah overheard me say it, and he told Fat Man, that little guy right there, such and such, and he put the two and two together. Being growing up running, said, man, you need to start doing this more. I was like, said, man, they don't know. Stuff that you saying is stuff that you got to be around old timers and guys who really know the sport don't learn. Like the stuff like that, stuff about pro, stuff that happens in the corner, stuff that happens inside the clinches, and stuff like that. I was just I was just saying what I know, what I was taught, and what I saw y'all do.
And I listen to, I really don't listen to everybody, but when I see yours, man, I stop and listen, man. and just listen to what you're talking about, man. And I usually don't, it's because there's a lot of guys out here now that never even don't know nothing about the sport. So, and there's a lot of guys that do. And I'm not just basing it upon people just being actual fighters. I'm basing it upon just what they're saying and how they analyze the sport. So when, it's a few, and you one of them that we listen to. So, and Ray, and trust me, Ray's very particular about who he listens to as well, man. And,
yes, sir. I'm honored.
Yes, sir.
Cause like I said, I grew up watching y'all. So it's like, wait, the guys I looked up to. It's been times where I done sat back and I'm like, okay, if I'm Nesto, and hopefully, these guys, for people who don't know, these guys are legends to me. You remember that the Belle Biv DeVoe movie when they put the New Edition movie when they was talking about all the guys that when they were going to the talent shows and they were kids and they were watching the older groups do the talent show, and he said, man, they were like superheroes to us, man.
Wow.
Them dudes are legends to us. That's y'all y'all are in, literally, I'll be telling people, like, y'all don't understand. If you go look at these books and go look at these old amateur, like you could look up these old amateur fights, you could look up these old books on who won what, when they won this, and all that. These guys are in the record for winning this many times or fighting in this bracket in this time. These are the guys I learned from, and I be like, man, I hope they sit back going, that's a good job, nephew. You learn good. Good job, nephew. Like that, I do be thinking that sometimes.
Yes,
like, hopefully you guys like, good job, nephew. Well done. You learn well.
by us getting back involved and, you know what I'm saying, doing the show, man, we impressed by a lot of these young guys, man. These some fighting young guys out here now, man. These boys can go, man. And sisters, back in our days, females wasn't boxing. They were just getting involved. We had a few ones like Tasha and a few came from that time frame, but it wasn't many. But I really like a lot of these guys, the way they fight now, man. At first I was real funny about their style because, you know, I didn't understand the culture, the young culture, but in terms of abilities and skill set, I think these boys, especially, and I'm at 135 weight class, I'm just impressed by how much talent is stacked in that one weight class. 140 was looking like that a couple of years ago too. Remember when Lamont and Garcia and Earl Spence and it's still stacked. Believe it's still stacked now. It's just 35 just came out of nowhere and just. I'm just impressed by the 35. That's all.
Yeah. It's a lot of good matches to be made at that weight class.
It is.
When you said the whole thing about the talent, at first you was a little to some of the stuff. Like, I don't blame you for that, because sometimes even me, I'm a little bit like too, because. I like that guys are changing up. They not just having their hands close their face. Sometimes they may go to a long mantis guard. They might go to Olympic guard and stuff like that. When sometimes, you might see the Philly shell in there, but back when you guys were fighting, everything was done for a reason. If you guys went from, a high guard, 9 out of 10, y'all went to Olympic guard right after that. And 2 back then, y'all gotta remember, they starting to be the judges a little bit more leeway in the amateurs when you fight like a pro. Back then, if you had your hands down, they might rob you at the end of the fight. But you trying to be cute. You trying to fight like a pro.
That's a fact,
you think
man.
you cute. And they will rob you.
Yep.
So, and the difference now is with these days, that of course you got certain guys, you might bring your hand out a little further so you can get the quick, come over top, stab them or something like that. But the problem with my generation, sometimes they do it just because they see someone else do it. Like, it was a boy in the gym. He saw me do the Philly shell, and I'm like, and he started doing it and got lit up. And I'm like, do you understand how long I practiced that? And not only that, but I said, I didn't just sit in the Philly shell, and I wasn't doing it for. I watched Georgie Benton. I watched Pernell Wig. I watched James Toney. Like, I hate when people say Floyd's the best at the Philly shell, and I say no. In my opinion, besides Georgie Benton, James Toney is. You know why? Because Floyd gave you 5 different looks in one fight.
Yeah.
James Toney gave you one look.
That's fact.
And he was feeding you all night.
Yeah.
Like, he was feeding you. So, and I said, you won't understand how difficult it is to go to the gym one day, know you're about to work on a skill set that you're not that good at, and know you're going to get hit.
And Ray's a big critic of that Philly shell. These guys trying that Philly shell.
Yeah, they're doing it for the wrong reason.
The Philly shell. I blame Floyd Mayweather Jr. for he's responsible for everybody getting knocked out doing the Philly shell. No, I kid, but nobody can do it better. He's one of the best that's ever done it. I know there's been other fighters, and you mentioned James Toney. That just shows you're a student of the sport. By the way, that actually was my original favorite. I can't pick. But like, if I was to really, if you press me hard enough to rank the Philly shell, I say Floyd was the best at it. But I absolutely love the way Tony he switched offense to defense from the Philly shell. It was just beautiful to watch. Watching him counter, watching him roll. I mean, he did everything. I mean, he could, like you say, he feed you all night. He would cook you all night, and it's beautiful watching that kind of boxing, because that's art right there.
Oh my God. And that's what I'm saying right there. My dad would sit there and say, what's the reason you doing this for? Because if he walks me this way, he could be setting me up for this, because but I gotta look at this and that. when a lot of these guys doing it just because they think it look cute and they saw Floyd do it and they think like, dude, do you know how long Floyd was known to have bloody noses in the amateurs?
Yeah.
Like, do you know how many times he probably sparred and had to perfect doing that Philly Shield? His father, just like my dad, threw him in there with guys bigger than him. Like, I sparred guys 175 and I was 132 because that my dad trusted, what I told him. I had to believe in myself. But it's like, you not understand how many times he probably done got hit in the face practicing that.
Yeah.
Before you're seeing the finished product. And Floyd, like I said, the difference, Georgie Benton and James Toney only gave you that one look. Floyd giving you 5 look. He might come out, he gonna walk you, feint you, walk over to the side, stab you to the body, make you up top, feint you, stab you to the body again. He might go to the high guard real high and tight. Then he might go and switch down to having both hands down, feint, make you look, foot feint, boom, shoulder feint, boom, drop a brick. But the difference is that he's giving you 5 look. I done seen him do Olympic guard, high guard, mantis guard, and then do the Philly Shield. Later on, when he got you under control and he know he already done dissected you.
And trust me,
that's the difference. Like, but he's doing each thing for a reason. My generation just want to be cute. I saw a dude get knocked out cold up at Rosecroft. I'm not gonna say his name, but he was talking cash trash. He fought this boy named Jesse Noriega from Lynchburg, Virginia. I'll never forget. Me and Mikey Fox watching it. We go to the dressing room, try down. Man, I don't even know why they introducing his name. Man, I don't this and that. He just like really ready to do his thing. I'm like, all right, go do your thing, bro. Whatever. He go out there beating the mess out of this boy from Lynchburg, Jesse Noriega, beating the mess out of Jesse Noriega. Boy, body turning red and everything. So the cop name was Conrad. He come over to me and Mikey Fox. Man, they need to stop this. Man, he beating the mess out of this boy, man. And we like, yeah, okay, but you see how close the boy Jesse Noriega, when he would throw his hooks in his right hands, it was all brick. And he would be slow as molasses. And you know what we were taught about people who punch slow. Don't get hit by him.
Right.
They punch slow. Do not get hit by him. And he kept doing the Philly Shield, but he doing it with his chin in the air.
Uh-oh.
His right glove his arms are not in the L shape. His chin is in the air. His knees are straight. They're not even bent. And when he dipping, he look like he taking a bow instead of squatting and pivoting out. And you can see the punch getting closer and closer and closer. Me and Mike said, yeah, but if that shot land, it's getting closer. If he stay there long enough, he ain't getting up. And all of a sudden, 3rd round come, that man tried to dip, taking a bow, got hit right on the forehead. And because he dipping, he didn't see the shot coming. And he just stumbled and smacked the canvas.
Okay.
Just like, you look real stupid right now.
Wow.
You could have easily beat this boy and you wanted to be cute.
Well, what I do notice about the eras, I went to some fights, the Golden Gloves. I went to the semifinals, and I just noticed the density of how it's less competition in terms of the amateur level. In terms of the tournaments, like when we used to fight, we had to fight the locals, regionals, and nationals. There's no walkovers. I never walked over. I mean, I remember fighting 3 days, 4 days in DC, 3 days in Augusta or Philly or whichever region, depending on the tournament, and 5 days in the nationals. So you talking about, what's that? That's 4 days, 7, and 5. That's almost what? 4, 7.
That's 17. That's 2 weeks.
There's 2 weeks worth for fighting to be a champion. Now, I mean, I don't knock. I know the pandemic, you know what I'm saying? The pandemic is here, and it has probably caused a lot of things to change in terms of tournaments. But I think from what I was told that a lot of this stuff was still happening before the pandemic, where a lot of guys it's no more local tournaments, no more national tournaments. I mean, no more local and no more regional tournaments like that. You just get an invitation, go to the nationals, become a national champion. Now, that's what I think is going to be the problem for boxing, where a lot of these guys are not having to fight the best of the best in their hometown. That's what I don't like about it sport now, is the fact that a lot of guys is not going to be fighting each other locally. So I remember when you talk trash, man, you in the same weight class, the Golden Gloves trapped you into me. You couldn't get away from it. Am I lying, Ray?
Yeah, you ain't lying.
So you trapped with me. Now all that trash talk you did all year long, you're now trapped to fight me, because me and you been in the same weight class. So now we got to prove who the best in this area. There's no way around it. So, you know, that's what I missed. That's what I didn't feel at the Golden Gloves these last few weeks when I went, was that. You know what I'm saying? Like, because I remember when you can see DeMarcus Chop Chop Corley had to fight Gary Jones, who is the older brother of Gary Russell. I mean, and Gary Jones was a J.O. Jr. with me, moving up into the open ranks, and gave DeMarcus Chop Chop a great fight and beat him. But I mean, it was trash talk the whole 2 weeks. I mean, they was going back and forth. So, you know, that's what I'm saying about the sport that I do miss, far on a local level and on an amateur level. I wish they go back to that, because this prepares some of these guys for that high level competition when they become professionals. I think the sport is trying to dense and become dense and pack everything in where people don't get burnt out. I think that's what's happening, from what I was told. Am I wrong?
Yeah. No, you're right.
Yeah, so you know, that's
this has been definitely.
I get it. I mean, I get it. I just remember hearing stories and seeing, like, I remember going to the Mayor's Cup when I was little. That was the first amateur tournament I ever went to. And, you know, I remember hearing stories about my dad and Flip and all them guys back when they were amateurs, how you had some tournaments was done all in one night. You fought 2-3 times in one night.
2-3 times. They did that back in them days, for sure. The Ohio State Fair used to be like that too. Like they fought 2-3 times in one day. Yep. Back in the 70s.
I said, Dad, you basically fighting a 15 or a 12 rounder in one day, for real. You basically, and I always tell people that. I say, well, you know, somebody said something that almost punched them in the face. They said, well, I mean, it's the amateurs, they only fighting 3 minutes, or, you know. I said, this is the thing you don't understand. Some of my friends I know and some of the legends I know done had over 200 amateur fights. You're not counting the sparring that they done had nobody done saw. That was fights. Then you have, if you take their whole amateur record and you calculate times 12, like, okay, 4 fights basically equals 12 rounds, and you basically divide that up. Some of these guys already turning pro with fighting 12 rounds over 50 something times in one tournament. And it's like, okay, you done fought 4 times in this tournament, or you done fought 3 times in this tournament. You done fought 9 rounds or 12 rounds in this one tournament. And then, you know, when my dad was fighting, you fight 2-3 times in one night. I'm like, so basically, you said, did you ever feel like tired today? He said, yeah. You know, I said, did they give y'all enough time to rehydrate and everything? He said, from what they said, yeah. and you know, but to know, like, when I think about, like, man, those, and some of these, sometimes it was wars from the beginning of your bracket to the end of your bracket. You was in wars.
Yes, facts.
And it's like, these guys really are, when you calculate it, they fighting every day in this tournament, and this is a 3-fight or 4-fight tournament. They basically just fought 9 hard rounds, or they just fought 12 hard rounds when it's all said and done. Because you sure gonna get told by the end of the tournament, don't come to the gym for a few days or a week, rest. You know, so, and I remember when I talked to James Baker, the great James Baker, and he was like, the difference between the pros and the amateurs, the pros, you can duck that man.
Yeah,
say,
that's a fact. That's a fact.
The amateurs,
you couldn't duck.
You got to see that man right
there. Hey, James hit it on the button, man. That's my point I was making, man. You had to get, once you was into that tournament trap, you was in that tournament trap. And what I noticed though about this time frame, I said it was two young men. I'm not gonna say names though, right?
Yes, sir.
I'm anxious about the fight coming. I'm thinking we bringing back the old days of the Golden Gloves where the best of the best fought. The day that they both won, right? The dude was like, such and such ain't gonna be there. I'm letting you know now, you getting excited for nothing. Because dude man ain't gonna be there when it's time for them two to fight. So you might as well just ease up and relax, because that's not gonna happen. I'm like, wow, man, that's not how we signed up for this thing to take this risk. You know, that was what make us who we are, is the fact that we all crazy, you know, because we chose this, you know.
Yeah.
You know, you're a boxer, you're a crazy person, man. You got
we come from an era where you gotta show me. You know?
Exactly.
Every week, you know, I remember I didn't know anybody when I came in the game, you know. I didn't even know Rashid, nor did I realize, hey man, I'm in here. This is my first time getting in the ring, and I'm actually practicing with somebody who's a ranked fighter. So, you know, I'm not even understanding why some of these whoopings are carrying. All I'm saying is from a kid's perspective, I'm older than this guy. I'm supposed to beat the brakes off him. But what I'm experiencing in the ring is skill. He's beating physical attributes versus skill, you know. And so in regular math, you know, 2 + 2 is supposed to equal 4. But this little dude is over here making 2 + 2 = 8, and I'm not understanding it. You know, I'm like, yo, what's going on here? But it's that old saying that iron sharpens iron, you know?
Right, yeah.
After a while, you know, when you're put in a sink or swim environment, you know,
you learn
it
how to
forces
swim.
you to either grow, or sink, you know. And you know, before long, I found myself in a ring with people who should have beat me, but they didn't. You know, they wasn't even realizing that it rubbed off because I stayed with it. And that was the thing, man. Back in the day, we used to go to a show and we was trying to see what's up. Yeah. It was almost like an organized street fight. I'm trying to find out. Yeah, I know you can beat me, but I need to find out. You know, I know on paper. I mean, I remember, you know, some of these legends, man, they were intimidating. I remember, and true story, I think Rashid can vouch for this one. I remember I was at a Hillcrest fight, and one of the legends, Spencer Harsley, devastating puncher. I was at a fight one time where he hit a guy to the ribs, hit him so hard to the ribs when he felt he broke his nose. I mean, the dude, I think it looked like the dude got shot. Man, he got hit to the ribs. I don't know if he broke his ribs and his nose. I just know that the knockout was so vicious. It was like the knockout of the night. It was, I think it was in Ohio, if I remember. I remember Spencer Harsley's, he rained fear in the hearts of some of these amateurs, especially at 119 pounds. And man, this guy told me straight up. I mean, I'm sitting in there thinking I'm I'm tough. You know what? You know, you know, Rashid, my sparring partner, he ranked, and I remember he looked me dead in my eye, man. But this is the kind of attitude we had back in the day. He looked me, he didn't even know me. I'm surprised he knew my name. He's like, Slim, you think you can beat me? I'm like, what you talking about? Watching the fight, man. Seriously? Right. I mean, this is before Facebook and Instagram. He said, Slim, I knock you out.
That's how it was, man.
And Rashid ain't help me either. Rashid started laughing like, I don't know. Rashid like, I don't know, Ray, all right.
I'm letting him know I fought him 5 times and beat him 5 times. I'm like, hold on, Ray might can beat you. I'm thinking, I'm in my mind, I'm like, the work he been giving me, he might upset you, Spencer. You might want to fight down with that, man.
but see, that's the era we came into, man. Spencer was a dog, and a lot of these fighters we didn't grow up. We didn't come up in an era where there was fear. You know what I'm saying? Fear was non-existent, and so that's what made the fights. There was no fear. And now, but now I see the social media as kind of a part of it. It's not. It's somewhat diluted. You don't get the same feel. So,
you know what fight I watched a few days ago, about a week ago? Daryl Coley versus Curtis Peebles at Ray Leonard's.
Oh man, that was a good fight.
Yeah.
I mean, the atmosphere, I felt it through the screen. Like, everybody was live. It was, and that's the thing. Like, it's still around a little bit, but it's a little more. A little bit for show. Some of the guys really about it. I mean, but it's not it's not like how you say where back then it was all about, everybody was about. It's more. Some guys is more show. Like, you might have more. It was a big deal when Troy Osley on a show for Lorenzo Truck Simpson at the outside at the National Monument, at the Washington Monument. That was a big deal.
Okay.
Some of the spawn sessions, Demond Nicholson and Alante, so or Action Douglas against Alante. So many of these guys, fought in different tournaments or whatever. But of course, as it goes, it diluted down. But shoot, I mean, even with when I went to old school, when I had to spar, and this is when I was trying to get into tournaments and everything, and I was having a good streak of staying healthy, and we go with that, and my dad told Buddy, said, Buddy had always knew me growing up a little bit, because when he used to have the gym right down the street from my house, I would say hey or whatever. But we were at show plays. He said, "Oh, your son's back in. Okay, good. He's staying healthy, good. Hey, bring him around or whatever." I didn't know he telling the guy, he talking junk, saying, hey, this kid, he grew up in this, so he's coming around here, y'all better have your stuff together. And I'm like, yo, these dudes are coming from tournaments. Why are you setting me up like this? And he go, and I remember they was selling wolf tickets off the break. So I was about to spar one of their guys who just came from the Silver Gloves. I had almost 100 fights or something like that. And they coming over trying to say little stuff like, yeah, you working with X, Y, and Z? I said, yeah. They go, oh yeah. So I heard about, yeah, you a cool dude, yeah, such and such, but you about to work with such and such. And I said, so? He said, you just came from Silvers, right? I said, so?
That's right.
And I said, that's good. Like, I'm happy for him. That means I get the experience. I appreciate it. And then I worked with him, and it went really well. And you got them sitting there talking. Then all of a sudden now, people like you were saying about the whole, when he said the Australia crowd, like, what you gonna do when it's 100,000 people? Y'all gotta understand. Like, let me break it down for people who listening. What that means. Devin said the right thing. Like, I don't care about that, but he's not at home. It's a difference. Sometimes I done been in gyms where it's over 200 people, just 200. It's families or whatever. It's sparring day. Guys coming from all over the spar. It's a doghouse. It is frothing at the mouth. Right. Oh yeah, it is, and you get one. Oh yeah, it's a big whole deal. And in your anxiety level, you could lose 3 rounds worth of energy just off your anxiety level. Fact. Now, equate that to 20,000 people, 100,000 people, and things like that. So, but to your point, sometimes it happens more now these days in sparring than it does in tournaments where it should happen. I remember it was a big deal when Alan Russell chose not to turn pro and Gary chose to turn pro, and then Mike Reed was turning open, and it was like, oh snap, we gonna see Alan fight Mike Reed, and they set the bracket up to where they were gonna meet at JC's in Waldorf. Wow. Oh, it was a big deal.
Did they fight?
Yeah, they fought. They fought more than once.
Okay. He couldn't beat him, could he? Gurry, he couldn't. Reed had problems with him, but it was close fight.
Oh yeah, Mike Reed had problems. He beat him the second time. He beat Allen won the first time. Mike Reed beat him the second time at I forget which one was it, the Pals. I forget which time.
I know they fought in the gloves.
Yeah, and the first one was the gloves. The second one was like the Pals in Texas, and then the third one was back up here. I think it was the USO. I think it was the U19s. This thing. I'm trying to remember, but I do remember the third one was back up here. Okay. And he got Mike again.
Yeah, we just heard about the U19s for the first time through Fox, so I never heard of it until he mentioned that tournament. So remember Ray was mentioning we never heard of it. We never heard of it. So, but man, it was great talking to you, man. I got to get ready for this weekend. So man, it was amazing talking to you, young soldier, man. You keep doing what you're doing, and I'm just saying, man, like, I thank you for being able to give boxing a consciousness in terms of like pushing the young fighters to think like that. You know what I'm saying? To act like and conduct themselves as warriors, man. To be honest with you, man, it's a lot of paper, social media champions out here, man. Yeah. And but it's a lot of great fighters as well. So it's a balance. But you know what I'm saying? I thank you, man, and man, you welcome here anytime, man. If you wanna do any fight analysis, man, with us and we can talk about the fights, you know what I'm saying? You more than welcome anytime, man.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure Ray feels the same way.
Absolutely.
Yep. So
yes, sir. You know, I'm on you. The first thing about the paper thing, one of the biggest comments I ever got was guys like Tim and Russell saying to one of their fighters who was ducking. He said, "Man, this kid coming straight out of the hospital. If I tell him to spar right now, he'll spar." And he said, I wish even with him, I still had stitches in my stomach. He was like, "Man, I wish I could take a tenth of his heart and put it in all y'all." And that meant a lot. And that also come from, once again, to the second part, leading to the second part. I'll be honored to talk because I come from you guys. You know, I always put, if you look at a lot of my posts, I put hashtag Hillcrest Bloodline. You know, and a lot of my posts, that's where I come from. And I remember, like, I took my now girlfriend, I took her to the gym. She was like, so I took her over there and I said, "This is the place." She said, "This is the place where all those stories and I heard Dad talk about and everything." And I said, "Yeah." And she saw me get emotional about it. I said, "Man, this place means everything. This place and the men that were in there made help. Half of the reasons why you like me is because of this place." Wow. And the men that I grew up around and what they instilled in me.
Yes, indeed.
So, now, I'm just glad I made you guys proud, and I'll be honored anytime you guys want me around.
At one point, I want to mention, I forgot to mention this too, Ray, from that era. For far as you, it just came to my mind just now, man. You fought two of the Olympian and the Olympian alternate in the same year.
Yeah.
Are you nuts?
So no, true story.
He said,
I think, and I just realized that too. In the same year, I fought the Olympian. I fought the Olympian alternate, and I fought the National Golden Glove Champion
in the same year.
I fought all three of them, and I got two split decisions and one KO. I stopped the National Golden Glove Champion.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, and I was never ranked, but that's how real it was. I tell people all the time, it was hard just making out the locals, to be honest, because all the talent was over here. We are a melting pot of talent, and when you look at it that way, you can't hang your head when you go out of town. You celebrating because you like, man, the hard part was just getting out of town. The rest of it was easy.
But also listen to how well you sounded by saying all of them wars y'all was in. Some of them I had the honor of witnessing. And now that's the thing people understand. Some of the greatest fights I ever seen was never broadcasted. I'll just leave it at that. And these two legends are able to be commentators and speak well. That don't always happen, especially from an era where even the amateur gloves were horsehair gloves.
Yeah. Well, man, it's great talking to you, man.
Yes, sir.
Ray, you can close it out, brother.
All right, man. Hey, thanks again. I appreciate your time, man, young soldier. And please continue to represent us well. and represent yourself.
Yes, sir.
At the same time, man. It's always a pleasure, and we look forward to seeing you again, ladies and gentlemen. Don Hollingsworth, another DC boxing legend.
DC Boxing Legend Podcast. DC Boxing Legend Podcast. DC Boxing Legend Podcast. DC Boxing Legend Podcast. DC Boxing Legend Podcast.